Oh, so great. This is so great. I can't do another one, can I? I was only allowed two. Ah, okay. That's true. Um, oh, crap. You can hear me drumming my fingers. How do I. How does it show whether or not I'm alive? On here. Oh, I know how to check. I gotta use my phone. Oh man, this is so exciting. I'm figuring it out slowly, one day at a time. Ah, it does say I'm alive. To watch what's going on. Ah, why are you such an asshole on my phone? Dude, on my phone, YouTube keeps on being like, oh, this content's not available. I'm not even sure what is going on. Why is that the back screen? That is. Alright. Turn you on. Do you even have battery? You died on me, didn't you? Oh, this device. It's the worst. Judgy. Why are you so judgy? Only dropped it once. Hey. Oh my gosh, it's working. It's freaking working. Oh, shit. That was silly. We're good. I am on. I found a website called Restream, and so I am streaming on two of them right now, and I'm about to start reading. Like I'm actually live streaming. No, but I am. Hold on. I am listening to myself talk after. I cannot. I'm turn it like way down or something, or not listen to myself. Dude, there's times. There are times. Here. So it's my restream. I wonder if I could handle streaming to Twitch from here. Can this use this at the same time though? Remove. Remove. Probably not. That's what I thought. Let's see. Then I could probably still run the screen share and record on OBS. So, yes, and there's oddly separate on that. Anyway. All right, guys. This is pretty crazy. Let's check out my. So funny. Dang it. Come back. Oh, that's just that. That's why it was weird. Well, that's. There's no one watching, I'm sure. But hey, this is so freaking cool. All right, so the video of my live stream will only be going for moi. Otherwise, I am going to be reading here. here. Let me do one last thing. I guess. Um, hmm, do I even have a way to have music? I don't know that I will have a way to have music, guys. Sorry. Sucks for you. Oh my goodness. What is all this? This is some crazy talk, guys. This is some straight up, straight up. Oh my goodness. Oh, only get this side of the camera. Hell. Hold on, change the side of that maybe. Oh, that's pretty cool. But I think I'm gonna put myself in the corner. Yeah, I know. I've been a bad boy. We're talking about felonies. Why do you think I'm in the corner? Oh my gosh, how awkward. All right. All right. So, Bovier's sixth law dictionary: felony, crimes, an offense with mm, an offense which occasions a total forfeiture of either lands or goods or both at common law, to which capital or other punishments may be super added according to the degree of guilt. And I figured the whole point of me doing this right now is that I I see all this stuff going on with Epstein, and it's like, I wonder how many of these original felonies were like, how many of these lines were crossed when it comes to him? Because, I mean, it's pretty crazy. Like, we have the second drop with all these pages, and there's some people pulling out some really interesting little rabbit holes throughout the pages, and so I just figured this was a positive look, you know? Start with I'm not even gonna say the words because I'm pretty sure just saying the words of these is gonna be, like, get me in trouble on one of these places, but at crime law, this one of the most important crimes that can be committed against individuals has been variously defined. Hawkins defines it to be willful killing of whatever. Oh my gosh. I already messed up. I don't wanna get banned. Just kidding, YouTube. Just kidding. Oh, man. Let's see, can I yeah, let's go. Let's see. Mhm, mhm, mhm. Hmm. Okay, this is super nerve-wracking, guys. I am going to start over. This is one of the most important crimes that can be committed against individuals, has been variously defined. Hawkins defines it to be willful of any subject whatsoever with malice, aforethought, whether the person slain shall be a Englishman or a foreigner. Russell says it is the killing of person. Oh crap! This is just. Oh my gosh! I don't know if I can do this. I'm gonna get in trouble. I wanted to read this live, but how do I read it live without like, golly? Let me go over here real quick. So I'm live on Rumble. Okay. Okay, I need to take this serious. So I'm gonna block off the screen real quick. Oh my gosh, there's somebody else watching? I guess it would be me. Me. If you're watching me right now, you better say something in the chat. Because I was about to take a smoke break before I continued on with my reading. If I even can, man. Like, this is gonna be freaking crazy. I didn't want to smoke on camera. I guess on Rumble it wouldn't be too bad, but I'm just so new to all the streaming and shit. I don't even want to test the waters in that way, but I totally enjoy myself when I'm able to smoke some tobacco while I read. So I guess you'll have to deal with it. But I mean, guys, there's a lot going on with Epstein. I'm not even sure where to begin with most of it. Because to be honest, like, I want to watch this one video. Maybe I won't read. Maybe I'll just put something out there that's already on YouTube and I know I won't get in trouble for, from a guy who I really respect. His level of research is insane. I can't even jot the upwards out, but it has all to do with the current topic, and I didn't really want to talk about it. I like, everyone else is doing such a good job, but it's like screwed up what's going on. And sheesh, why not get down and dirty with everybody? As I said on one of my other videos, just kind of dirty. Still been dirty the whole time since 1860. Blam. Here's what I'll do with the document. All right, you got this one, and I'm going to slow scroll. Wait, hold on. We will. Here. All right. I'm going to slow scroll through it. You guys can read this. This is a 33-page document. Interesting enough. I'm actually going to go a little faster because you guys can slow it down to like half speed and stuff. I wanted to point out this right here. Manslaughter. I almost, for a minute, I couldn't find a definition on manslaughter, so I put this here because it said pleadings and indictment for it must be charged that the person that did and the of the deceased, and unless the word is used, unless it's introduced into the charge, the indictment will be taken as this only because this is intent. This or this means it was an accident, according. But then later I ended up finding it. So here you go. And obviously this is what it, you know. This, everybody knows about this. Yup, yup, yup. Oh, this is what connects. Oh, I get it now. This is what connects to Epstein, right? Yeah. Okay. I'm not gonna read it. Sorry, guys. But like honestly, if you read through this, it's pretty screwed up, man. Like just what not even about so much what what's going on now, but just what they have written in here for this. I mean, it's true in a way, and this is probably my absolute most favorite law definition they have. I mean, it's hysterical. It is the funniest thing in the world. Like, the crime against nature committed with either man or beast. It is a crime not to be named. Packetum illud horrible inter Christianos non nominandum. Like, with great severity. I think we all I think we all know bundle of sticks. And this one. People hear this word, it's not so much used anymore. I feel like there's not much difference between this and, like, robbery, you know? But, I mean, there are differences when you read through it, but it's like I mean, it really isn't any different. I don't know why they have this in the same way kinda list. Yeah, look at that, see? And Invito Domino was, um, mentioned up in this definition right here. But, they're just I try to be very redundant and comprehensive. Everybody loves this. I thought this was just interesting. It was the one right above the arson. Burning in the hand is punishment. This punishment was inflicted on those who received the benefit of clergy. Isn't that interesting? And this, I was surprised because it's like it's actually it's like this is actually attacking somebody. Like, they are committing felonies up in Minnesota and in, California and anywhere. They are causing mayhem, like, protesting is one thing, but and this was another one. It's just interesting how they do law to me. Everybody knows this one. You get you a good pause moment. Maybe I'll read it sometime. Mr. and Mrs. Lamb. Do you get it? Yeah. And then this in Blackstone's commentaries of the law on the laws of England, perjury, so lying in court. Here, get y'all a good. And a lot of people who you wouldn't expect to commit perjury do all the time, and they don't get prosecuted. I've had it happen to me. Isn't that crazy? Wow, this is a long definition, though. I didn't actually read this one. Forgery. Make sure you get all of that just in case. There are misspellings, but that's just how the book came, and I didn't fix that part. Yeah, this one goes back to our Epstein didn't kill himself. Not even sure he's dead. Escape. Escape. You know, it's spelled just like the word escape. Dory, you found the way out. Almost there. Just a couple more pages, guys. Make sure you get all of it. And like, yeah, each of you could go and do the definitions yourself. These are also felonies at the common law. The idea of a fixed list of 9 major felonies is often seen as a simplification for teaching purposes rather than a complete historical record. So I would say that he committed, I'm tempted to say piracy, even though it wasn't on the high seas, it was on the, like, the seas of the air. Like, they call them airships, or they used to. They're just on another plane, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure he committed escape. Because he didn't kill himself. That's, like, awkward. You think he killed himself? You are what Trump called Ben Waltz, and I think we all know how about that is and this one. So he's got 3 so far. Let's see. 4, I'm sure, 100% sure. Securities fraud, like, seriously. And 100%. So wait, have we hold on, we're gonna go. We're gonna count. Camera hasn't even been open this whole time. Took my break and forgot to open you back up. Alright, here we go, guys. Alright. You're gonna get to see me count. So we got I wanna say this because of the helicopter rides from Ghislaine, and he had both people traveled on an airplane. Like, it says high seas, but honestly, like, I really you can call me crazy, but I'm applying it because it is in the air. The like, ah, because they said, for example, the Pope is claimed to have some kind of higher authority amongst, like, above everything else because he is the Holy See, and we are the Holy See of commerce, and he is the Holy See itself. And so we're all on the Sea of Commerce because we're all in commercial. Yeah. There's so much to explain. Like, it's hard to put all the words together right now. So we have piracy, definitely escape because he didn't kill himself. Goat napping. I don't know. I just don't want to say certain words. So we're at 3 right now, guys. Yes, 100%. 100%. There's no way he got all of his money, honestly. And there's no way he's gonna be honest and tell the truth. There's absolutely no chance he would be honest in that situation. Now this one, I don't think yeah, I think we're just at 5 still. We're gonna go 6, yeah, we're gonna start over 6. Yeah, we're on 6. Probably skip on that one. Um, I mean, it wasn't property, it was well, that would fall under the one we already counted. We're gonna skip it. Yeah, so we're at 7. Definitely the one that shall but not 8 multiple times. I'm gonna give 2 for this one because it wasn't just that, and we all know it. It was way freaking more than that. I mean, maybe no, none of that, I'm sure. I'm sure all of it was so we got these 10 of the what was it, like, 14 felonies that were listed here? That's pretty crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording, and let's switch. Here, let's get rid of this, remove. Yes, and add source. Window capture. Choose the window that is correct. And go back over here so I can also change the window. Yeah, this is learning process, guys. You're gonna have to deal with it. I don't even know if anyone's watching, but I'm having a good time. Oh my gosh. Let's see here. Replace with yes, yes. Very good, very good. Yes, yes. Okay. Yes, right here, right? Okay. And still not capturing on this one. Maybe I should just screen capture. Hold up. Can I just screen capture instead of window capture? Yeah, display. All right. Moving on. I actually had wanted to just go through here to Mind Unveiled. Best freaking conspiracy channel like ever. Like you guys have no idea. If you guys haven't seen this channel right here, you are missing out like crazy. I found him in like 2022. Wait, I'm gonna sit down. I'll get my. Otherwise, I'll be super short. They'll all laugh at me. I wouldn't want any of you guys to laugh at me. That would be so fucking rude. Oh my gosh. There we go. I know. I am super neat. I just don't want it to like crazy screech at you the whole time. Like, are we good, guys? Are we going? Like, is this it? Like, this is crazy.
And then there's bio.
All right. I want to listen as well. Okay. Dun, dun. Are you guys? If you guys aren't watching right now, we're about to watch Mind Unveiled AI Epstein's AI baby farm. It is 20 seconds long, 40 minutes, 20 seconds long. So occasionally I might black out my camera, which I'm gonna put you. That's nice. Does that work on my stream still? Ready to go. I mean, if that's actually working for the stream, I can do that.
For the past 2 weeks, there have been some major updates to the files. It's actually starting to get crazy. People were telling me that I have to make a video on this, and while I typically stray away from recent events, something just told me that I should look into this. Now I realize why. This may be the biggest video I've ever made. I just spent the last week developing a research tool that would allow me to search with my own terms through 44,000 of those documents. But I took a completely different approach. I wasn't looking for names or occult terms. I was looking for what he was building. And what I found changes the entire story. Tucker Carlson had Ian Carroll on his show this week to go through the Epstein files. 2 hours. They covered the trafficking, they covered the intelligence connections, they covered the financial web, and then Tucker said something that stopped me.
I suspect that the DOJ was not very interested.
Oh. Okay. So let's go, I guess. Where would I need to be? Oh, sheesh. Sorry, guys. Whoever may or may not be watching. Let's go.
Interested in making them very accessible, as noted by them not giving us zip downloads to even download them with this time. So trying to make them more accessible for myself and others.
I suggest a thread, for a younger, more energetic man to follow up on?
Absolutely.
And that's Epstein's fixation on genetics and biotechnology.
Yeah.
And it's very clear to me, well, much is not clear to me at all, and I don't understand this category very well. I'm not a scientist, a geneticist, but I have noticed, not just with Epstein, but with a bunch of people in Epstein's orbit, there is a fixation on genetics and changing genetics and improving people and cloning and
on
really kind of
eugenics.
tampering with the material of life.
I'm enjoying this. But I guess I'll just unsplit the windows or something, because I can't figure out how to.
In a way that someone who believed he was God would, or someone who's involved, in the supernatural would. I mean, there's really heavy stuff here, and that really, really matters. And I have not seen anybody go into that in a methodical way.
He's right. Nobody has. Until now. Here's a story everyone has. Epstein told scientists he wanted to seed the human race with his DNA. He had a ranch in New Mexico where the plan was to impregnate 20 women at a time. George Church, Harvard's top CRISPR gene editing pioneer, had regular documented meetings with him. A victim wrote in her own words, quote, "I'm not your personal incubator." In 30 23andMe DNA kits were shipped to Dubai for a Middle Eastern royal. And that's where every outlet stopped. The victim diary got picked up by the tabloids, the 23andMe kits got a couple paragraphs in SFgate, and then everyone moved on to the next celebrity name. Everyone is asking who was in Epstein's circle, but nobody's asking what he was building. When you read these documents, the actual EFTA files, not the headlines, a pattern emerges. Shell companies declaring DNA analysis as their business activity.
There we go.
$50,000 wired to an artificial intelligence institute. A male fertility specialist getting haircuts at the residence. Then there are these meetings called designer babies, 6 days before meetings with the egg people. A woman flown from Manchester, England, and referred to a fertility
Oh my gosh,
clinic.
it was a rumble the whole time.
There seems to be an operation, infrastructure, funding, scientists, and victims who knew. So let's just go through the documents. This is a Deutsche Bank Know Your Customer form for a company called Southern Trust Company Incorporated, registered in the U.S. Virgin Islands, sole owner and president, Jeffrey E. Epstein. DNA analysis. That's what Epstein told his bank that his company does. Expected quarterly revenue, $12.5 million. Annual income, $10 million. So, I went looking for what Southern Trust actually did. Nothing. No lab, no research, no scientist on payroll. The actual operations were pure investment management. Venezuelan government bonds, derivatives, Epstein's personal salary. The company was originally called Financial Informatics Incorporated. DNA analysis was a fiction, a qualifying business activity for USVI tax incentives. Now follow the money. The Cook Foundation, that's one of Epstein's nonprofits, wires $50,000 to the Singularity Institute for Artificial Intelligence. That's now called MIRI, the organization dedicated to building artificial general intelligence. EFTA 01500847. Nobody has ever reported this wire. $20,000 to the Worldwide Transhumanist Association. $100,000 to Ben Goertzel, one of the leading AGI researchers on the planet. A $200,000 invoice for Joseph Thackeria, a researcher George Church introduced to Epstein who was editing his own stem cells with CRISPR. $6.5 million to Harvard's program for evolutionary dynamics. Genetics, artificial intelligence, transhumanism, life extension, CRISPR gene editing. He funded all of it. And that's just the science side. So I kept digging. A master transaction ledger, 21 transactions from 2013 through 2018. Leon Black, the head of Apollo Management, one of the largest private equity funds on Earth, sends over $120 million through Epstein's Southern Trust Company. That money routes to Edmund de Rothschild Bank in Geneva. $10 million goes directly to Benjamin Edmund de Rothschild personally, and in the same ledger, Southern Trust is investing in Peter Thiel's Valor Venture Funds. Epstein was the financial intermediary routing $167 million between one of Wall Street's largest PE funds, a European private bank, and Silicon Valley's most connected venture capitalist. In his cover story for all of it, DNA analysis. Then there's this, a complete investor pitch deck from a San Francisco biotech venture capital fund called Descartes Capital, found in Epstein's seized files. The fund explicitly targets Russian oligarch money. Their portfolio is gene therapy using engineered viruses, transgenic chicken bioreactors, meaning they insert human genes into animal germ cells, cancer immunotherapy. A Princeton molecular biology professor is on the advisory board. Descartes Capital returns 0 results connected to Epstein anywhere. No news article, no Reddit thread, nothing on YouTube. And then there's BioAlibi LLC. I'm not exactly sure how it's pronounced. But essentially, Christina Galbraith previously worked for Epstein's foundation. By January 2019, she'd become the director of genetic therapies at a company called BioLibi. It might be pronounced BioLab, but again, I'm not sure. She published on genetic vectors, and she asked to keep using the foundation's Lexington Avenue office space. BioLab LLC returns 0 results on the open web. A genetics company that doesn't exist publicly, run by an Epstein Foundation employee working on genetic vectors out of his office? EFTA 02278036. Now this one should make you stop. In Epstein's files, there are investment research documents about Editas Medicine, a CRISPR gene editing company. Standard financial analysis. But look at what's in it. These are the only documents in 44,000 files that contain the word germline. That means editing DNA that gets passed down to future generations. Heritable genetic modification. Gene editing research about permanently modifying human embryos sitting in the seized evidence of a convicted sex trafficker. Ask yourself why that was in his files. One more. A file called traitsandappearance.xls. An Excel spreadsheet about human traits and physical appearance created by Curtis Marine, a researcher at Arizona State University's Institute of Human Origins, for a workshop called Human Uniqueness and Behavior Modernity. It was forwarded through the physicist Lawrence Krauss to Epstein. Then, Epstein forwarded it to Jess Staley, head of JP Morgan's investment bank. And he added a line, "Your daughter is also invited too." Okay, hold up. A spreadsheet cataloging human traits and appearance forwarded it to one of Wall Street's most powerful bankers with an invitation that included his daughter. Let's continue. If you're going to run a genetics program, you need access to a genetics lab. Epstein didn't just fund Harvard's program for evolutionary dynamics, he had his own key card. September 2017, Mei Huang, a PhD staff member, emails Epstein's assistant. The card reader system at Martin Novak's Institute had been changed. She needed an address to mail Jeffrey a new access card. So they mailed it to his home, 9 East 71st Street, New York. When the system changed again, instructions were sent for how to get to the 6th floor. That means Epstein had permanent, unsupervised building access to Harvard's Genetics Research Institute. And when the locks changed, staff sent him new keys. And he used that access. In the files, I found complete schedules for day-long private meetings at Harvard, back-to-back, all in one building, with some very important people. May 6th, 2018, 10:15 a.m., Martin Novak, the head of the program for evolution.
What would he be doing at Harvard? Like I thought he was like a finance guy. Maybe there's finance at Harvard, but I thought it was more like law and medical. Oh, wrong device. Oh my gosh. Good. All right. We shall continue. Oh, get out of there. You guys want to see my on Twitch at least? You get to see my back screen for a bit. This is pretty funny. This is the medical district in my town. So funny. All right, moving on.
Evolutionary Dynamics, 11:30 to 3, Joy Ito and a group from MIT including Caleb Harper from Open Agriculture. 3 p.m., Yosha Bach, the AI and consciousness researcher. 4 p.m., Leonid Peshkin. Okay, so this Peshkin guy. Harvard researcher in developmental biology and single-cell genomics, embryonic development. Epstein asked for him by name. Nobody has ever reported on Leonid Peshkin's involvement. And then dinner at 6 with Larry Summers, former Treasury Secretary of the United States.
Oh, look who it is. Former Secretary of the United States. Of the Treasury. From Upside Down 666 to 2001.
It's at Martin Novak's Institute. Why? 5 months later, October 15th, same pattern. Novak at 11:30, then at 12:30, Kamila Naxarova, Massachusetts General Hospital, Harvard Medical School, cancer genetics, studies tumor evolution at the single-cell level. Nobody has reported on her either. 2 p.m., John de la Parra from MIT Open Agriculture. 3:30, Yosha Bach again. 5:30, snacks with Larry Summers. 7 p.m., dinner with Joy Ito. The same people.
I gotta pause again and say, like, Do you see the amount? Like this dude, this is Mind Unveiled. I don't even know his name. Nobody knows his name. Someone probably knows his name, but he's good, bro. Like, oh my gosh, this is crazy how like good he does. Like, what?
People, genetic.
Hold on, let me see if I can get rid of this thing. Why is it doing this? Itinéraire. No, I'm not gonna do that right now, I guess. Oh, I get so frustrated. I am so unfocused about this. Anyways,
AI, consciousness,
I'm surprised
former
my
Treasury
computer can
Secretary.
handle it.
One building, one day, organized by a convicted sex offender with his own key card. If you're running a reproductive operation, you need a doctor. Meet Harry Fish. Harry Fish is one of America's leading urologists.
That guy's
His specialty is male reproductive health, sperm quality, fertility optimization, testosterone. He has 606 appearances in the Epstein documents, $2,800 in urology invoices, home visits at Epstein's residence
here,
on the same day the calendar
666
reads.
appearances.
10, Harry Fish. 11:30, Leon. 2:30, Deepak. 3:30, Woody. That's Leon Black, Deepak Chopra, Woody
And
Allen.
Woody Allen.
But
Woody
Fish
Allen.
wasn't just his doctor. It would seem he was inner circle.
What do you
They
know?
had lunch at the 2nd Avenue Deli where Fish sent him a Wall Street Journal article about female Viagra. Fish got haircuts from Epstein's personal barber at the residence. He attended a Woody Allen movie screening alongside Karina Shiliak. And for Christmas, Epstein sent him an Apple Watch. And then a reminder call in May 2019, 6 weeks before Epstein's arrest. So it would seem he was inner circle, and Fish, his specialty, is the exact thing you would need for a reproductive operation. And Fish wasn't the only one. In September 2018, Epstein saw a second urologist, Darius Paduch, Cornell Medical. And Monday the 24th, he sees Fish. Wednesday 26th, he sees Paduch. Paduch's staff asked for the reason for the visit, but Epstein's office never answered. There's a note in the files that says, "Ask Dr. Fish." That's a cross-referral between the two urologists, with Epstein's office controlling the information. A few days later, Epstein's staff is frantically chasing blood test results. October 2nd through 4th, 3 days of calls trying to get results from Paduch's office. Keep in mind that Darius Paduch has since been convicted of sexually abusing his patients, including minors. Nobody has ever connected these two stories.
And why
Epstein's
not?
reproductive medicine specialist and his convicted abuser urologist.
Ian, come on, man. Ian Carroll. Like, we can go find an Ian Carroll video after this, man, just to, so anybody who sees this can call him out. Cause, or Coop. Like, dude. dude. Like, for reals. These are the people who need to see this video. I don't know why. I don't know how I can get them to see it. Anybody who watches this, is watching this, send him a message. I'll send him another message. I've sent those guys messages, and maybe not Coop. He was newer. He's newer since I found him. But dude, this is crazy. And man, this is creepy. Fishy. A little fishy.
Seeing the same patient in the same week, cross-referring.
Yes, come say goodnight. My camera's covered up.
What?
I said, come say goodnight. My camera's covered up.
Oh. And can I see?
No, I'm busy.
Aw.
I love you.
Dad,
Aw.
I have to get down myself.
No, you don't. I can put you down just fine. Get out of here. Go on. Oh my gosh. Shh. Love you.
Through Epstein's office. August 2018. Watch how fast this moves. August 2nd. A meeting called Designer Babies. Brian Bishop, biohacker, CRISPR advocate. The meeting uses a pre-existing video room, The URL is Taxmaster Genetics. That name already existed. That means these discussions had been happening. 3 days later, August 5th, Bishop puts the pitch in writing. The subject line is designer babies. And his goal, in his own words, the first live birth of a human designer baby, and possibly a human clone, within 5 years. The budget was $1.7 million a year for up to 5 years, plus $1 million for a lab setup. The plan was transgenic mice first, then human volunteers. And the intended outcome? The first human with transgenic sperm, and we begin taking pre-orders. Pre-orders for genetically modified humans. Epstein's response?
So gross.
I have no issues with investing. The problem is only if I am seen to lead. So he wanted in, he just didn't want his name on it. And Bishop knew that. In the same thread he writes, anonymity requirements about babies. We can't publicly identify whose these are or their parents or benefactors. It would brand the child as, essentially, and sadly, a freak for life in the media. He then offers to run the whole thing under his own project so Epstein has, his words, a sufficient level of deniability. There it is. By August 13th, Bishop sent a follow-up. He was already running experiments. Quote, proceeding with more mouse testing at my Ukraine lab. Surgeries, microinjection. The lab was at the Institute of Gerontology at Ukraine's Academy of Medical Sciences in Kiev. A real lab with real experiments. Real animals being cut open and injected with modified genetic material. This is starting to look like a cloning program, and a billionaire funder who sends an email. Jeffrey wanted to set up a meeting with the egg people. And the staff replies, ha, egg people. August 9th, 7:30 a.m. The egg people meeting happens at 9 East 71st Street. By 11, Brad Karp is there, one of the top litigation lawyers in the country. By 1:15, lunch with Leon Black. August 20th, a woman is flown from Manchester, England to New York. September 9th, Epstein personally directs his staff. Find her a gynecologist in Manchester. September 2018, staff recommends Manchester Fertility Clinic. Okay, so 6 days between a designer babies meeting and an egg people meeting, 11 days later, a woman flown internationally and referred to a fertility clinic. Nobody has reported on the egg people term, not even a single news article. Now we go international. So CNBC just ran a piece on Epstein's Silicon Valley connections. They confirmed Anne Wojcicki, the founder of 23andMe, was connected to Epstein. A victim alleged that she met Wojcicki on Epstein's island. CNBC reported that and moved on, but they didn't mention this. That's Epstein's own email, misspellings and all. Rashid Epstein, a fake identity created to register a DNA kit for Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the ruler of Dubai. His assistant, Leslie Groff, follows up. We can register a kit for you as Rashid Epstein. The kits go to JFK Terminal 4, Door 5, onto Emirates Flight 202 to Dubai. When 23andMe invalidates them for geographic restrictions, Sultan proposes a workaround. Collect the DNA in Dubai, mail the samples to New York. This seems to be a covert DNA collection operation using a fraudulent identity run through household staff for...
Like, do you guys, oh my gosh, you guys hear it? Because this is, oh man, I'm so thankful this guy did his deep dive. Like, he is so comprehensive.
Middle Eastern...
This is why Ian Carroll, Coop, and maybe Dre Dossier should totally take a look, because Dre Dossier does this super deep dive on Larry Ellison. Ian Carroll explains the Israel connection, and freaking Coop, he also does a lot on Israel. I don't know if he's done anything on Ellison, but he also he just has little tidbits of information that the others don't have. But those three, and you'll understand so deeply. Oh, and Candace Owens and the Brigitte Macron series, and all this ties into freaking Charlie Kirk too. That's the craziest part.
royalty? And here's what ties it all together. March 2014, John Brockman, who runs the Edge Foundation, sends out invitations for a dinner in Vancouver. The guest list: Jeff Bezos, Sergey Brin, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Larry Page, and the two names that matter for this story, Jeffrey Epstein and Anne Wojcicki. Anne Wojcicki, the founder of 23andMe, the same company whose DNA kits Epstein registered under a fake name and shipped to Dubai royalty. CNBC had access to the same documents I did. They confirmed Wojcicki was connected to Epstein, and they left all of this on the table? Read the article. Every name gets the same treatment. Teal, legal and legitimate purposes. Hoffman, philanthropic purposes. Gates, absolutely absurd and completely false. Brin, no comment. The article mentions zero genetics, zero DNA, zero reproductive programs, zero CRISPR. The words baby, fertility, and gene don't appear once. That's not journalism. That's damage control for Silicon Valley. They wrote the version of the story that protects the people in it. Now, Bill Gates.
Now, this guy is so monotone, you probably can't tell, but that's his upset voice. And he doesn't get upset, guys.
3 days ago, the Wall Street Journal published an article called How Epstein Inserted Himself in a Split Between Bill Gates and a Top Gates Advisor. They reported that in 2013, Epstein jumped into negotiations between Gates and his science advisor, Boris Nikolic. That Epstein wrote fake resignation letters to himself as leverage, that he dangled allegations about Gates' extramarital affairs, and that Gates himself said, quote, Jeffrey was quite helpful. Without him, it would have been harder, end quote. So what is the Wall Street Journal's angle here? While sure, they are going deep by revealing this, but it seems like their angle is Epstein was a manipulator who exploited a business split. And that's true, but that's where they stopped. They never asked the obvious question. Why would a convicted sex trafficker care about a biotech fund separation? Everyone knows Gates and Epstein met, but nobody really knows why. Look at this document. A draft separation agreement between Boris Nikolic and Bill Gates. Nikolic was Gates' science advisor, one of his closest. The agreement says they won't disparage each other, they'll keep it confidential, employment ends January 1st, 2014. But this document was sent to Jeffrey Epstein for input. A confidential employment separation between Bill Gates and his science advisor? And Epstein was the one being consulted? Why? Nikolic emailed Epstein directly about the terms. In addition to changing date to the end of January, the last point needed total change, re-helping me find a job. He was negotiating his exit from Bill Gates through Jeffrey Epstein. Boris Nikolic was later named in Epstein's will as alternate executor. 124 documents connect them in the corpus. Epstein wasn't just socially connected to Gates. He was brokering confidential employment separations for Gates' closest science advisors. Nikolic is the bridge figure. Everything I've shown you so far is infrastructure, shell companies, wire transfers, meeting calendars, key cards, documents. But the files contain something else. This is a letter written by a victim addressed directly to Jeffrey Epstein. This is scary. Let me show you what this document is.
I'll check this part out. We've all seen it. If you watch Ian or Coop or Dre, like, we've all seen this. But let this guy explain it. He does. Oof.
Your body has never been given
Real good
time to
job.
properly heal. Where is my baby? Where is Jelaine? I am not your personal incubator. She knew she was being used for reproduction and she said it directly. But that's actually just the surface. This is about to blow your mind. So I'm sure you've been seeing the incubator stuff in the news recently. It's been covered, but they're not really explaining it. This is what they didn't tell you. This victim didn't write that letter in English. She wrote it in rail fence cipher. A rail fence cipher is a transposition code. You split your message across 2 rows, alternating letters. Top, bottom, top, bottom. To read it, you weave the rows back together. The actual page in the EFTA is not the journal. It's rows of letters that look like occult nonsense. But what I just read you, I'm not your personal incubator, where is the baby, where is Jelaine? That's what you get once you decode it. It would seem that the DOJ apparently had cryptanalysts decode it, and then they added this plain text translation to the file. But they don't clarify at all that it was a cipher. They just published the decoded letter like she wrote it normally. And they left out that the cipher ends with death. See, you're missing the context. The real question is, why does a trafficking victim know how to write in cipher? Why would she need to? A railfin cipher isn't something you just pick up. Someone most likely taught her this. That's a red flag. A victim writing in code implies training and operation. This reads like ritual abuse more than anything else. All the ciphers were decoded. One of them mentions the blood from supposedly Leon Black. We've mentioned him several times. The other cipher is her guilt. She feels like a monster. She remembers the screams. But I was looking through the PDF and I found this page. It's like a bunch of stickers or cutouts. And there's one that says protect the vanishing. And this victim wrote children. The vanishing children? What is she talking about? What's crazy is there's a whole nother PDF, and that too has a bunch of ciphers. Now let me show you really quick, because I can't explain it all, but you just need to see it. I'm sure most of you remember when this all came out, but here's the thing. We had zero context. Think about what I'm telling you right now, and how this all connects. Look at these ciphers. Look at her cutouts. This is no normal victim. She describes a forced medical procedure. Quote, close your eyes, close your eyes, close your eyes. Don't speak, she doesn't talk. A shot in rod-like instruments with a hook, consistent with a D and C procedure. Apparently the doctor was from Israel. Ghislaine Maxwell was present and directing. A decision was made, but I can't tell Jeffrey.
Crazy.
Maxwell was making reproductive decisions Epstein didn't even know about. This victim.
Yeah, when I heard him, oh my gosh, when I heard this part, oh my gosh, I was mind blown because, like, imagine if, like, because he's speculating here, you know, but imagine if, like, what if he was obviously kingpin of sorts, but what if she was like another level of mastermind that he didn't even know about? I mean, it's all spy stuff, so there's going to be a lot of double crossing and everything.
Was impregnated, carried to term, and her baby was born alive. She even names Jean-Luc Brunel directly. Quote, Jean-Luc Brunel is a disgusting pig. She says she was sent back after 6 weeks. Quote, punishment for trying to run. Right there, that's the reason for the ciphers. And here's a line that ties everything together. The superior gene pool? Why me? Why my hair color and eye color? That feels very Nazi-like. She says the piano and music comments we made to convince her this is right and will create perfect offspring. At first I thought that sounded like hypnotism, but it seems like they were trying to teach her to play the instrument. Quote, I miss the person I was before I was made into what feels as a human incubator.
Seen this.
Okay, so this is a metaphor. She seems to be describing a eugenics program, and we've been tracing this through the documents. George Church, egg people, CRISPR, designer babies. And here's a girl saying they selected her for her hair color and eye color to create perfect offspring. She called it Nazi-like. And like I said, look at these stickers or cutouts and how the ciphers are under them. She's spelling it out for you. And look at this. Help me, please. Can't anyone find me? That's what the documents show. But let me tell you what I think it means.
This is new, by the way. He actually had another piece of art that it was this, but this is so clean. Like, and then there are people who are all like, no, you just turned into a VTuber. What did you do? I think it's really cool. Like, this guy he puts the work in. He deserves it, you know? Anyways, have a good, continue.
I saved this one for last because it connects everything. December 2nd, 2018. A Harvard lunch at Martin Novak's Institute. The guest, George Church, Harvard's top CRISPR pioneer, Seth Lloyd, MIT quantum computing, Martin Novak, and a woman. She had just flown in from Paris. She needed a US cell phone, and she wasn't American. Now look at this email. Epstein directing his staff on travel routes. Same as last time. Kyiv to Paris, Moscow to Paris, St. Petersburg to Paris, Odessa to Paris. All converge.
Oh, Paris, 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 Paris. Isn't that interesting? They're all going to Paris, where, as I said, if you check out the Brigitte Macron thing, yeah, all I'm going to say.
On his apartment at 22 Avenue, Foch in Paris. It would seem that apartment was the hub for the Eastern European trafficking pipeline. Women from Ukraine, Russia, Belarus routed through Paris. Same as last time means this was a reoccurring operation with established routes. So why was a woman from that pipeline at a Harvard genetics lunch with the world's leading CRISPR researcher? Everything that I've shown you so far has been the documents. I haven't made a single claim, I haven't accused anyone of anything. What follows is what I think this means. You can disagree, you can turn off the video, but if you made it this far, I think you need to hear this. When you lay out all these documents, 3 layers emerge. Layer 1, the personal predation. This is the story everyone already knows.
Hey, if I have a viewer on Rumble, thank you so much. Welcome. This is let me downsize it, Epstein's AI baby farm, and it is crazy creepy. I am not going to go back, but I am going to be posting this video. So I hope you enjoy the ride. I'm going to continue. Say something in the chat. I'd love to. I can like text while we watch the video.
The massages, the girls, the island. Epstein was a predator. That's the version that went to trial, and that's where most people stopped. Layer 2, blackmail. Cameras in every room, every bedroom, every bathroom, every property. When you have the most powerful people on earth walking through your doors, and you have footage of what they do behind the closed ones, you don't need money. You have leverage. That's the intelligence operation. Layer 3, the genetics pipeline. And this is what no one is talking about. It would seem that the trafficking wasn't just predation, it was a supply chain. The victims weren't just being exploited, they're being harvested. Eggs extracted, menstrual cycles tracked, fertility clinics arranged, babies taken. And a victim literally wrote, "I'm not your personal incubator." She's describing her function in the operation. But there's one thing that everyone is missing. Why Silicon Valley? Everyone keeps asking why Epstein was connected to tech billionaires. The answer isn't that they were donors. But what if their companies are the infrastructure? 23andMe, genetic profiles on millions of people. That's the training data. Palantir, pattern recognition across massive datasets. That's the trait selection engine. Microsoft, cloud computing and AI processing power. That's the computational backbone for processing genomic data. George Church in CRISPR, that's the editing tool. Once the AI identifies what to change, Church's lab can change it. Oil money can write checks. Only Silicon Valley owns AI, big data, and genetic databases. They're not funding the operation, they are the operation. Now keep in mind, this is all theoretical.
Go back for a second.
Church's lab can change it. Oil money can write checks. Only Silicon Valley owns AI, big data, and genetic databases. They're not funding the operation, they are the
Genetics, AI. I mean, I don't know what they're doing. They suck. And then you don't hear much about this in the news, at least anymore. But yeah, this is, if you don't know what this is, Lord of the Rings, the crystal ball that made the 9 kings of the realms of men go crazy, essentially.
operation. Now keep in mind, this is all theoretical. I'm interpreting
Theoretically speaking, of course. I object.
public documents, but the infrastructure is real, the companies are real, and the connections between them are in the files. And if this theory is correct, it doesn't stop at production. These aren't just designer babies, it monitors the human. Palantir isn't just analyzing genetic data on the front end, it's a surveillance infrastructure that tracks populations on the back end. What am I saying? It would seem that these sickos are trying to design an engineered human race that's powered and monitored by AI. Design them, produce them, monitor them, control them, all in AI. That's why I call this video AI baby farms. It's not just baby farms. If you follow the documents to their logical conclusion, what you're looking at isn't just a trafficking operation. It's the blueprint for an AI-monitored, engineered population. Allegedly. And remember what I told you at the beginning of the video? Epstein told scientists he wanted to see the human race with his DNA. He wanted to impregnate 20 women at a time at his ranch in New Mexico. Everyone reported that like it was just fantasy.
Bro. 20 women at a time. What? Like, oh my gosh. Wow. We'll treat it as you gotta laugh at the things that hurt too much to cry about, right? Like, oh.
Like it was some delusion of a narcissist. But look at what I just showed you. The shell companies, the fertility doctors, the egg harvesting, the CRISPR research, the AI funding. It seems like he was describing this operation. That is the full picture as I understand it, but that's just from 44,000 documents. Every EFTA number has been on your screen, so you can verify everything I've shown you. Now, the story doesn't end here. The documents speak for themselves. But if you want to understand why I called this video what I called it, stay here for 5 more minutes, because none of this is new. This has been happening for almost 300 years. In 1739, the Foundling Hospital opened in London, and it was funded by royalty, supported by aristocrats. And if you look at the coat of arms, there's the Diana of Ephesus, the multi-breasted ancient fertility goddess. But if you look closely, those aren't breasts, they're eggs, right there on the official seal of a children's hospital. Why do you have occult symbolism on something that's supposed to be a charity? And what about in America? Well, there's a fraternal order that many have never heard of. They're called the Odd Fellows, similar to Freemasons, but with a completely different purpose. Funded by royalty, their symbols include the all-seeing eye, the fasces, skull and bones, and they were the ones that ran the orphanages in America in the 19th century. They ran the asylums. Their founder, Thomas Wiley, was himself an orphan. Orphans grooming the next generation of
You see that? Oh man, upside down and everything.
orphans. And they did all of this under the name of philanthropy. Now, if you follow the channel, you already know what I'm about to show you. But for those who don't, there are thousands of postcards from the 1890s to the 1910s that nobody talks about. They show babies being grown in cabbage patches, babies being harvested from gardens, babies arriving on trains, babies being pulled from water with hooks and nets, and some that literally say in French, "Nous sommes à vendre," we are for sale. These aren't art projects, these aren't cute jokes. There are thousands of these across Europe and America, and they depict a production line, a repopulation operation. The woman in the red is their handler. The men in the top hats pay for them. Familiar, right? This is the real history behind the Cabbage Patch Kids, and it's even in their lore. A story about babies being grown in a
Yeah, this is crazy. I so want to talk about it, but oh wait.
garden, delivered by a stork in uniform, while an evil witch tries to enslave them for labor. Nobody really ever questioned where that story came from. In 1881, a French doctor attached to a foundling hospital built the first baby incubator. He modeled it on a chicken hatchery. Within a decade, baby incubators filled with live premature infants were exhibited at world's fairs across Europe and America.
Man's twofold nature is an insuperable barrier to the enactment of civil laws restricting to any considerable extent the natural law of reproduction. Economic and social considerations will always outweigh considerations having regard to the welfare of the prospective offspring. All that science or government can do in the matter is to educate the masses into a more perfect knowledge of physical laws. But to return to the subject, Mr. Tarnier, a French physician, attached to a foundling hospital. That is such a weird word. Because what does the word found mean, you know? Anyway.
The medical journal that covered it wrote, quote, "It is just as essential in raising men and women as it is raising any kind of stock," end quote. And in 1896, at the same Paris World Fair that showcased those incubators, the first narrative film ever made premiered, Le Fée aux Choux.
Yeah, dude, this is crazy. This is the first film ever made, and it's about this French lady with a baby cabbage patch selling babies to a couple. It is 1 minute long, 52 seconds long. Like, and then you can also, like, if you go into his channel, Mind Unveiled, definitely give him a follow. Go to his videos, watch them and like them. They're great. But you'll see so much more about this. He does a good job. Very thorough.
Fairy of the Cabbages, a woman pulling babies from a cabbage patch and handing them to couples who pay a farmer. The first movie ever made was about selling babies, and it was created to promote the incubators. Then came the trains. Between 1854 and 1929, over 200,000 children were loaded onto orphan trains and shipped from East Coast cities to the Midwest and West. 72% of them had at least one living parent. They weren't orphans, they were taken. Their names were changed, their records destroyed. They were displayed at train stations and then chosen by families. And then we're just told to forget everything about where they come from. So to put that together, foundling hospitals funded by elite with fertility goddesses on their seals, a secret fraternity running the orphanages, thousands of postcards advertising babies for sale, incubators modeled on chicken hatcheries at world fairs, the first movie ever made is about producing and selling babies, and 200,000 children were shipped across the continent with their identities erased? Now look at what I just showed you in these documents. Shell companies declaring DNA analysis, CRISPR gene editing, fertility doctors, egg harvesting, AI processing, forced pregnancies, babies taken, women trafficked through international pipelines and brought to genetics meetings, and $167 million routed through one man's shell company to a Rothschild bank? The same banking dynasty that's been at the center of European finance since the founding hospitals were built. The same operation, different century. The only thing that changed is the technology. Okay, so I showed you what I found, but that was just from 44,000 documents in the database that I was using. There are 3.5 million pages in the full DOJ release. What I showed you today is just what one person found in 1 week. There's so much more, and there are a lot of open threads. Nobody on YouTube has gone through the documents like this. Tucker said that nobody's gone into the genetics methodically. I just did. And this is just the surface. Part 2 goes even deeper. This whole thing is way older than Jeffrey Epstein. Alright guys, make sure you subscribe if you want to see what I find next. And if you find a document that I should look at, make sure you drop the EFTA number in the comments. This is an ongoing investigation, and we're just getting started. Thanks for watching, and all we can hope is that our minds may be unveiled.
He actually doesn't come out with content too terribly often, so you can definitely catch up to what he's got. It's not endless on this one. The other thing... there's a couple other things that I have that I wanted to watch. But... let's see... I mean, I'm watching my chats. If anybody's in the chat, chiming in the chat, let me know what we want to do, because I'm willing to take... oh, I lost my other viewer. But hey, I had a whole nother viewer for a second, guys. It's pretty fun. What is going on? Where's... oh, okay. Man, Rumble is slow on the uptake. YouTube as well. Twitch seems to keep up pretty darn well. Pretty funny. It's pretty great. Let's go back to oh, there's something I need to do real quick. Start recording. Start recording. Yeah. All right, let's go back here. I mean, we could watch a Cash Jordan. I like him too. I have like other... oh, I remember. Let's see. Let's go to... see if I can pull this up. There it is. This
operation.
I just found this video last night.
The world is a stage,
and Alex Y give him a like, give him a follow. I did. I liked his video. It's pretty short, but it's also got some crazy information. Let's go.
The Epstein files was just the first act, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what I mean by that. The recent set of Epstein files is not what you think. Obviously, it is a huge revelation of some crazy stuff, some of which I can't even talk about in this video because I want to keep it PG. But there is way more to the story when you think about it from a much larger and deeper perspective. Pause. And in this video, I'm gonna say what a lot of people either are thinking, or even if you haven't thought of this before, it'll all start to make sense. This recent batch of Epstein files released was a PSYOP, a psychological operation, and specifically a controlled release of information designed to placate the public. The whole point of it was to give out just enough information to make you angry and upset internally, but not enough to make you act externally. Let me repeat. The government, the deep state, whoever you believe to be in control of the country and of our society, purposefully released just enough information to make you feel vindicated, to satiate your curiosity, to make you feel like you discovered something or that you were right all along?
I just want to say that let's go there. I just want to say that what he's saying is not just with the Epstein files. Anytime something really bad happens, they will placate you. They'll get you upset just enough and put it in the news just enough till the next story comes along. Like, he's going to mention a lot of what I would mention, but let's think about it. Like the Charlie Kirk thing, the only one still talking about it is Candace. And not that, I don't know. I'm not trying to get into that drama, but I really do think there's something wrong with the investigation. I think there's some real weird crap going on with that organization. It's a crazy situation. Causes much frustration. Anyways, moving on.
To make you feel like some kind of truth has been brought to light. But ultimately, what's going to literally nothing changes. It's only that nothing ever happens meme, but at least for now, literally nothing changes. I mean, we just found out that our entire government, and really all of the Western governments in the world, are run by a network of PDFs and the most horrible people imaginable. But guess what? You're still going to go to work or school the next day. You're still going to buy food from the grocery stores, do whatever hobbies you have, talk to the same people around you, and you're still going to pay your taxes every year like a good boy.
I got to say something about that. First off, yeah, you can't hardly live these days without going to the grocery store. And I hope a bunch of you who see this are going to take it serious about learning how to farm or making communities with, figuring out a skill. Even if you're not a farmer and you're do something else, something you can trade to those guys, or, like start making connections, get your kids out of the school, like start learning. If you aren't willing to learn in the age of information, there's something wrong, Like, I've taught myself how to be a content creator because of how much information there is to just be able to do it. And I'm not the only one. I'm just starting. Moving on.
I mean, good boy. Your taxes are going to be funding those.
Oh, yeah. The definition of tax is actually a contribution imposed. And a contribution is a willing gift, and an imposition is a trick through deception. Plus, the tax code, the statute at large on tax, has never been ruled as positive law, which means that it's never been ruled constitutional by the Supreme Court. There's more on that later, but we'll leave it there and move on.
Same exact people who played with kids on that island. You know this, and it makes you mad, but at the end of the day, 99% of you out there aren't going to do anything about it. These people live off your dime. They funnel money back and forth to each other. They use that money, for example, to buy up all the properties, which is why you'll probably never be able to own a home someday. They never even pay their own taxes and commit fraud left and right. And we know all of this. If we didn't before, we know it now. And for so long, these people in the government, and especially in the media, convinced us and gaslit us into thinking we were the crazy ones. They called our investigations and discoveries conspiracies, misinformation, and they censored us. They deplatformed us for talking about this stuff years ago. But now, if it wasn't abundantly clear before, like I've always said on this fucking channel, you're not the crazy one. The world is. And we're done being gaslit. We're done being lied to. We literally live in a world where the people who rule over us played with little kids on an island. And in the moment, of course, we all feel some level of righteous indignation. But even so, even considering all of that, it still seems like the PSYOP at least won this round. Because unfortunately, like I said earlier, we either can't do anything about it, or not enough of us are willing to. 99.9%, if not 100% of you who's watching this video right now, will just go back to life as usual. Eating our Chipotle slop bowls, watching Netflix at night, scrolling on racist Instagram reels, living in our tiny little apartments that were herded into like cattle. So yeah, I hope you understand that this is what the latest drop of Epstein files actually represents. We're going to give you enough information just to make you feel vindicated, to make you feel good about yourself, and you can get all of that anger and indignation out of your system. But at the end of the day, There's way more to the story that they're obviously hiding from us. For example, just look at all the redactions and the millions of files still yet to be released. And what we got was just the tip of the iceberg, clearly. If there's anything we can do, instead of just farming the current content of the Epstein files for reactions and clicks on social media, and then forgetting about it, then going on with our lives, we should be pushing for more information to be released. Because what they're hiding from us right now is the stuff.
Hey, I saw I have a viewer on Twitch. How's it going? This is something way bigger than the Epstein files is coming. We just watched Mind Unveiled, but we're going to continue on with this, and I will be stopping it occasionally. Have a great night.
That would actually probably make the masses truly want to make a change. But unfortunately, even with public pressure, I don't know if they'll ever release that stuff. Now, just a very quick, brief reminder of who was in the files for those who might not know. Rothschilds were in it, Musk was in it, Gates was in it, Trump was in it, Clinton was in it, Bannon was in it, Summers was in it, even Mamdani was in it, at least his mom. Moral of the story is that it really doesn't matter what side you're on at this point. What we all learned is that... Big news, everyone. I'm launching an entirely new show over on Patreon. I'll be dropping videos on there every single week, specifically to talk about things that I can't really talk about on here. I'm sure you guys understand that there are so many more things I want to say, but there's some things that you just can't say on a mainstream platform like this. But on there, I'm completely unfiltered, completely uncensored, completely off script, and I'll be reacting to everything going on in the world and covering some much deeper and much more controversial topics. So I think it's something that you guys would really enjoy. You might even like it more than this main channel. It's $5 a month and you'll get access to the full weekly show. Link is in the description and pinned comment. And shout out to everyone who's already on Patreon and everyone who's a channel member as well. Love and appreciate you guys. What we all learned is that the club is way bigger than you think. And you know what's crazy? Even for how big it is, how big this club is, you're still not in it. You who's watching this.
As George Carlin would say, it's a big old club and you ain't in it.
Me who's behind the camera. It's this gigantic club.
This is a man after my own heart. Woohoo!
Even bigger than you think, but we're still not in it. The workers are not in it. The taxpayers are not in it. It's almost like these people live in a world of their own, which they kind of do. Another point, by the way, that I don't think people are saying enough. Think about all of the names that were redacted. All of the powerful people who were protected in these Epstein files. And himself, with all the power he had, and prevent his own name from being. Think about what that means. Think about the implication of that. It means that even Trump, as the president of the most powerful country in the world, isn't really the one in charge of things. He's literally lower on the priority list of who to protect than some of these other powerful individuals whose names were redacted in the emails. And that should tell you something. That should really be eye-opening. That should tell you how deep this thing really runs. And obviously, this is not a defense of Trump. Obviously, he's implicated. He's guilty of horrible stuff. But the biggest thing that I took away from this, and what should really scare you, if anything, is that however bad you think Trump is, there are people much more powerful and much darker than even him. And they're the ones whose names have been redacted. Finally, I need to get to this part of the story that, again, no one else is talking about. Why do I always have to talk about these things? Because no one else is. Everyone is literally just looking at, what's right in front of their noses and giving their outraged takes and reactions to all of this and making jokes and memes about it, which obviously is natural. I'm not blaming anyone for doing that. But if we want to understand the world deeper, or at least try to, then we have to zoom out and think about it a little bit outside of the box almost. And when you really zoom out, you can't help but come to the conclusion that these people, the government, the elites, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, are using these files to try to condition us for something bigger that's coming. Now this part, I'll admit, is some level of speculation, but if you just follow along, I think you'll understand. Imagine you're a government or you're a ruling institution of a large population body, and you're sitting on something huge, something massive, some either earth-shattering information that would change.
I actually have a book on what he's talking about that we can look at after this if anybody wants. Throw it in the chat.
The fabric of society, or some major event you know of that's going to happen soon. In that case, as the government or the ruling class, what's your goal? It's to control the public, make sure everything is peaceful, that there's not a bunch of chaos. And in order to do that, you have to undertake some kind of psychological operation, some kind of social engineering campaign to make sure society doesn't go out of control when shit hits the fan. And the way you do that is by conditioning the public to shocking things gradually and over time. That's what the Epstein files is. Have you noticed that over the past few years, it's been a slow drip of information? How it's almost like every few months or so, this comes back into the news cycle? That's obviously not a coincidence. Nothing is a coincidence. So yeah, one thing they do in these psyops is gradually release some kind of shocking information over time in a way that doesn't expose everything all at once. Another thing they do, which you also might have noticed in the recent years, is by introducing bizarre events or explanations here and there that really just don't seem to make sense, almost like they're testing how much we as the public can figure things out for ourselves. Some examples of this I can remember recently are the drone situation that was in the news for like a month, then suddenly everyone forgot about it. Obviously, you have the Charlie Kirk incident, which everyone, literally everyone knows the government is lying about. And there are plenty of other things I can point to as
Yeah, that I told you he was going to mention a couple of those earlier. It's pretty funny. He does a good job.
well. Now, hypothetically, the reason why they would do this stuff is very simple. The purpose is to how the public reacts to crazy information or events, so that hopefully they'll know how to best handle the situation and keep the population in control when the real shit comes out. And trust me, there's gonna be some real shit coming out. I don't know exactly when. I've been saying in many of my videos that the time span is probably within the next 5 to 10 years that something big is gonna happen. And if you don't believe, like I said, a lot of this, to be fair, is speculation. I don't even claim to know exactly what's going to happen, in what form this big thing is going to take place, but I know that I'm not the only one who feels this way, and that a lot of people within the collective consciousness are thinking the exact same thing and trying to prepare accordingly. So just watch, observe, be as perceptive as you can be. Come back to this video if weird stuff ever starts happening again, which it probably will, because honestly, at this point, reality isn't stranger than fiction. If you were to tell me this Epstein stuff just 5 or 10 years ago, I would have thought you were crazy. Everyone would have thought you were crazy. But now it's just the norm. I saw a quote that really describes the situation perfectly. We're starting to run out of conspiracies nowadays because all of them are being proven to be true. But
I
anyway,
can't count the number of times I said that. And as Asmund Gold says, I do enjoy watching some Asmund. But as Zach says, freaking the conspiracy theorists like must be boring for us now because they're all coming true.
just know that this batch of Epstein files, even with how crazy and how absurd
was alive, then Asmund would be freaking getting it right now, wouldn't he? That young whippersnapper, a great bald among balds.
everything is not the end of the story. In fact, it's only the canary in the coal mine that's preparing us or getting us ready for something bigger. Anyways, yeah, it really seems like with every passing day, every passing month, it's starting to look like we're just living under one giant psychological experiment. And like any experiment, what you need to know is that there are two parties involved: the experimenters and the test subjects. Right now, we, the normal tax-paying citizens who don't have private islands, are the test subjects of this giant experiment. And you already know who the experimenters are: the Epsteins, the Gates, the Clintons, the Trumps even, of the world. It's all of them. It's all of them. Literally all of them. They're all on the same team. Two sides of the same coin. Two cheeks of the same ass. They're on the same team, and that team is a whole lot bigger than you think. And so I was thinking, if we truly ever want to do anything about this, then maybe we all need to be on the same team too. AKA, maybe, just maybe, there needs to be some kind of alliance between the right and the left, at least a temporary one. And as always, I'll be open and honest about where I personally stand politically, like how I agree with a lot of populist or so-called left-wing economic ideas. But on cultural issues, for example, I'm way more conservative. I don't like the radical progressive left. But even in spite of that,
Oh my gosh. Just remember the nose ring theory, guys. Just remember the nose ring theory. That's all I'm going to say.
I feel like it's in times like these where, you know, maybe it's worth it to put the culture war stuff aside, even just temporarily, in order to actually focus on the bigger issues and hopefully get something done. You might think the other side sucks, but always remember who the true enemy is. And again, myself and many people on the cultural right, we're not fans of mass illegal immigration. We're not fans of the hyper-feminist agenda. We're not fans of woke cancel culture and DEI, and we definitely will never be. But at the same time, when you start to realize that all of us, regardless of left or right, we all end up paying taxes to these same billionaires who played with kids on an island. Maybe that kind of stuff is the priority to get solved first before we resume the culture war. So, is it time to at least have some level of unity with the left, just on the basis that we're all being exploited by the same people? I'm actually not sure. I mean that as a genuine question. And if you guys would like to answer that in the comments, please feel free to do that. I certainly know some people who think that the far left and the radical woke progressives are way too far gone to be reasoned with. But I personally know some left-wing people and have liberal friends who are reasonable, decent people, many of whom watch the channel. Some of my favorite comments are those that say, "Oh, I'm left-wing, but I actually agree with you on this and this, even though I don't agree with you on everything." Anyways, I don't really know a good way to end this, but that's pretty much all I have to say for now. And if you want more content on the Epstein files and my reactions and my analysis of it,
He's gonna draw the ending out, but yeah, he's give him a like. Let me. Alex, something way bigger than the Epstein files is coming, and I can probably drop it in the chat if you need it, but you gotta let me know in the chat because otherwise I'm just gonna move on. Let's see. Let's see. Woke 2 is here. Italy is finished. There's a few good ones here. But
check out the Patreon.
Let's see. Could be fun. I really like her a lot, though. We're going here.
Hi, everyone.
Hold on. Let me restart this video. Okay. Let's go. This is Lay's Real Talk. She was on a podcast called the Danny Jones Podcast, and Danny Jones is the best. She talks about Chinese population and the current ongoing political issues, and everyone talks about how scary China is. I call bull because of what she says, and I have other sources too, but I use them to corroborate what she says. But let's go.
Sorry to keep you waiting. I've been struggling with camera issues, but I am live. Well, welcome to Lay's Real Talk. Okay, well, what a thumbnail. CIA plus a seductress. Well, let me tell you what they're all about. Well, let's talk about CIA first. 9 months ago, for the first time ever, the Central Intelligence Agency released 2 Chinese language recruitment videos targeting people inside mainland China. One video aimed at high-ranking officials and the other at grassroots cadres. And then in less than a year, those 2 videos had more than 45 million views. Now, about 4 weeks ago, the CIA released another Mandarin video, and this time offering step-by-step instructions on how to securely contact the agency using VPN. The message was blunt. It says, the CIA wants to know the truth about China, and we're looking for trustworthy people who know the truth and are willing to share it. The information you hold may be more valuable than you realize. In just 1 month, that video alone passed 63 million views. Now remember, the video is in Chinese. So most of the viewers are from mainland China because there aren't that many Chinese outside China that could have generated that many views. And so the combined 100 million views of the 3 videos suggest that these videos are extremely popular in China, or they've been seen by many Chinese. Then, just today, a few weeks after Zhang Youxia's drama exploded, the CIA dropped yet another Chinese language video, this time directly targeting the Chinese military personnel. The description openly calls on people inside China to contact the CIA. It says they respect and protect those who cooperate, and specifically asks—
Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm honestly too ADD for this right now. Let's see what else we can find because this is boring the heck out of me. Let's see. CoffeeZilla. I mean, Coop is pretty good. You know what I mean? I was thinking like that one we saw a second ago. Let's see this one.
The Epstein hearings just backfired and exposed a whole bunch of people, but not in the way you might think.
Answer the question the way I asked it. Chairman Jordan, I'm not going to get in the gutter with these people, but I'm going to answer the question.
How many of you indicted?
Again,
Watch this.
I'm claiming my time.
To my right is an email that was sent by the victim's lawyers to the DOJ. It was a list of names not to redact. A list of names not to release. What did the DOJ do with this email? They released this email in the document production. Literally the worst thing you could do to the survivors, you did.
Wow.
And they're getting phone calls. A lot of these people didn't want to be known. And we know you touched the document because you redacted one name and you redacted the lawyer's name, but you left the survivor's name there. The next document I want to show
It's like,
you.
how can that not be intentional? I mean, come on. You serious?
And that was in the title, the victims' survivors' names, all right? Co-conspirators, fully redacted. And by the way, we don't unredact them here. Les Wexner is in this. Now, your your deputy attorney
I don't know if
general.
you guys know anything about Lex Wexner, dude, but there's lots out there. Basically, he gave his whole fortune to Jeffrey Epstein, and he basically funneled a pipeline. Him and the dude, he was like the girl side, and the dude who owned Abercrombie and Fitch was the boy side. Pipeline to Epstein.
Said, oh, well, he appears hundreds of times in the files, but he doesn't appear in this file until I forced you to release
Okay, pay attention.
where he's listed as a co-conspirator. And then finally, what we have here is the third exhibit that I have.
He's
is
saying all
emblematic
of this
the
is proof of
FP302
something.
release. These are the documents that we need that you're holding on to and over-redacting because they have the names of the men who are implicated. How do we know? Because the survivors gave testimony to the FBI, and it's in there. And what happens when you go to the portal at the DOJ to look at what's behind this redaction? Another redaction. So we can't even see them. And then there's some of these files you've pulled down from the website.
It does look messy.
That we will never see.
But there's something happening here.
Because we can't search
And wait
the
till you see what it
redactions.
is.
So I have several questions for you. Who's responsible? Are you able to track who in your organization made this massive failure and released the victims' names? Are you able to track who it was that obscured Les Wexner's name as a co-conspirator in an FBI document? Do you have that kind of accountability?
I believe Wexner's name was listed more than 4,000 times.
Yeah, I already
Listen.
told you that.
Can
This
I
is where he's listed as a
Can I
co-conspirator.
finish my answer? Come on, let me finish my answer. We corrected that within 40 minutes. He was already, you're acting like everybody's trying to cover up Wexner's name.
reclaiming-
He was
reclaiming
listed
my
as- I'm
time.
gonna
Look at
answer-
the disrespectful attitude she has, dude. She's so performative. It's really crazy. Like, I can't believe they, I guess, put up with that. I don't know. It's weird to me.
This question.
Reclaiming my time.
He
It's-
was,
Mr.
this is
Chairman.
how this-
This is what you need to know about this whole thing. If you think this is a massive conspiracy to protect powerful people, here's your evidence. This senator has it right here. But on the other hand, if you think this is a massive conspiracy to try and tie the president to something that's been going on for decades, this is also proof of that. Because the thing he's mad about is a guy being redacted who was already in the files unredacted over 40,000 other times. This is like, we're splitting hairs here.
Can you give her answer? The time belongs to the gentleman from.
All right,
They
I'm
don't want the
reclaiming my
answer.
Can I
time.
give my answer?
So I'm
Yes.
going to put the language of the bill
They
up on
don't
screen.
want the answer.
Chairman,
Because I
may I
have
give my
another
answer
question.
on that?
Here's
It's a political
the question.
joke, and I need to give my answer on that.
It looks like a show.
The Attorney General respond,
A
and then the gentleman
circus.
can move to his
Chairman,
next question.
it's my time.
Within 40
Chairman.
minutes, you asked me a question.
You can give
Within
me-
40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes
You
of me catching you red-handed.
There was one redaction out
Where
of
he's
over
listed as a
4,700,
co-conspirator.
Okay.
and we invited
You know what?
you
Shoot,
in.
gentlemen, video.
This
Show
guy
the-
has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to be. You're a
failed
failed
politician.
politician.
Gentlemen,
You need
I
to
want you to watch the video.
Wow.
Chairman, please restore his time and remind the witness of the
himself.
rules.
They're
There
playing
is
video.
no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
Is that your position as well?
The whole thing is an attempt to try and tie President Trump to this in a way that many people are upset nobody has been able to do yet. And that's the thing that is coming out here. You've got these representatives who are up here with all these charts and all of this stuff that looks like it's evidence of something, but it isn't evidence of anything, at least nothing tying Trump to any of this. Other than that, it is his Justice Department which now has to talk about it.
Did you ask Merrick Garland that the last 4 years? Did you talk about Epstein?
I'm reclaiming my time. I'm glad you're asking about Merrick Garland.
You don't get to reclaim
because
time
this
when
is
you don't
bigger
do it
than
when you
Watergate.
when I don't answer the question
This
the way you
goes
want.
over 4 administrations. You don't have to go back to Biden. Let's go back to Obama. Let's go back to George Bush. This cover-up spans decades, and you are responsible for this portion of it.
And that's
now,
where the
I want to know at what
I think it goes a little further back than decades, but maybe that's just me.
And she's the only one they want to be responsible for it.
The DOJ decide that Lex Wessner was not a co-conspirator because our Epstein Files Transparency Act requires you, please put it back on the screen.
But he's already in there,
to release the
unredacted,
internal
40,000
decision of
times.
whether to prosecute
They're
him
fighting
or not.
about nothing.
It's not in the files, and it's not in the files for any of these other men.
Time of the gentleman has
Which,
expired.
may she answer?
And he's a hypocrite because he voted against the ban that we were talking about on deep fake AI porn. Only 2 people voted against it, and you were one of them, hypocrite.
The gentleman.
Wow. If you think this is a cover-up, her quote-unquote deflecting is evidence of that.
Dude,
Or
yeah, she's so performative. It's insane. Like, what is she doing? What is she doing? I have no idea, but it's so performative and it's ridiculous. And I wish she wouldn't. Anyway, moving on.
if you think this whole thing is a circus put on by people who could have pursued this in the past with past attorney generals and past FBIs and never did for some reason, this is also evidence of that. Why are all these people going after it now? Because they don't like the president and they want to tie this to the president.
I did not expect this to happen. Trump was one of the first people who was a
some Asmund. What's funny is they'll go back and forth, watch each other. Because he does news. He doesn't usually watch Asmund, but Asmund, he's actually been doing a really good job covering his sources. He doesn't always know what he's talking about, but he generally has a pretty good idea of what's going on. I like to watch him just because he's pretty funny.
Whistleblower on Jeffrey Epstein. More evidence that Trump was the original Jeffrey Epstein whistleblower is coming out in the court documents. Trump was responsible for Epstein's first conviction. So you remember whenever this came out?
When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant.
I can tell you that I talked to President Trump back in 2009, and several times after that, he helped me. He got on the phone. He told me things that were helping our investigation.
I now see why Biden didn't release the Epstein files when he had 4 years to do so. I don't think anybody was predicting this. This is the file. New Epstein was disgusting.
Wow.
Trump said Maxwell was Epstein's operative. She is evil and to focus on her. Trump told Blank that he was around Epstein once when teenagers were present, and Trump got the hell out of there. Trump was one of
Okay, so I don't know. I don't think anybody who is watching now was here earlier, but I watched a video on Mind Unveiled called Epstein's AI Baby Farm, and it goes so deep. Basically, he's speculating that that crazy message that Asmund and a whole bunch of people have gone over, the one with it was like a cipher, and they don't even say it's a cipher, but it's a cipher, and then they post the translation right below it. And first off, how the heck does a victim like that know that a cipher, which is a complex coded language, and I mean the way it works is you take the 2 lines, it's a fence cipher. I forget the other part of that name, and each one you cross the letters, and then to undo it you put them back. And so yeah, you can figure out what it says, and that's how you know that that's the cipher to the message beneath. But he speculates that Ghislaine was running a whole another operation that Epstein might not have even known about, which is what? For real, dude. I love Jordan. He's Cash Jordan.
the very first people to call when people found out they were investigating Epstein. No one could explain how Epstein made his money. Prince Andrew was a fixture in Palm Beach. So Jeffrey Epstein thought that Trump ratted him out. Epstein came to believe that it was Trump who had first caused him to be investigated by the law enforcement in 2005. This is where you get the idea that Epstein actually had it in for Trump, and that he wanted to try and get rid of Trump somehow, and that he was actually part of this whole smear campaign when he was around. But for some reason, we're not hearing any of this
from the people that are trying to tie the current attorney general to it instead of the past attorney general or the past administrations that had this information sooner.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chairman, could she answer the question?
Chairman, I was wondering, the gentlelady's allowed, the Attorney General's allowed to respond the way she wants to respond to any member's questions, Republican,
This
Democrat.
place is
I have
imploding.
unanimous consent request.
Gentleman's recognized for UC.
All right. This is an example. I'm submitting these three.
That is crazy.
That are entirely redacted.
That is crazy.
Even when you go to look at them.
Without objection.
I'm submitting a witness statement that implicates Les Wexner.
Without objection.
I'm submitting an article from the New York Times that the DOJ released nude photos and identifiable pictures of the victims. I'm submitting a letter from AG Bondi to Kash Patel, imploring him to quit keeping the files when you found out that they were keeping files from you, because they're still redacting files that you.
Chairman, are we going to recess for votes? Yes, we are.
I'm submitting for unanimous consent.
The frustrating thing about this is the fact that there are redactions. And whenever you see something like this black piece of paper up here where the whole page is redacted, everyone wants to know what it says and what it's talking about. You can't hide something, even if there's a reason to hide it, and not have people talk about it forever. I mean, that's how Area 51 survived. But here's
So what's interesting about the redactions, and I'm sure you've heard some of this, but if not, go watch Some Ordinary Gamers. He's been covering the Epstein files as well. And he shows you how you can like unredact them in some cases. Not that it's a good thing. And there's a certain thing going on that he didn't show you how to unredact it. But like, bruh, that's crazy.
where things get even crazier.
from Texas is recognized for UC.
Thank you so much. Donald Trump's approval rating implodes on his strongest issue. This
Hey,
is from
Justin
Newsweek
Crockett.
today. It says 40% of people
Thank you.
approve of
You don't
Trump's
need to
handling
read
of
the article to
immigration
us.
and border security, while 60% disapprove.
Without
That
objection,
is a net
admitted.
drop
Now I
to
recognize the
negative
gentleman
20.
from California, Mr. Liu.
Here we go, Mr. Lou. Wait till he gets going. This is fascinating. Do these
Thank you,
people
Attorney
want
General
the truth?
Bondi,
That's
for
what you need to
being
be
here
asking
today.
yourself.
I'm
Do
gonna
these
show you
career
two
politicians
photos.
want the truth?
I'm going to show you two photos of former Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, he's definitely
Look at
guilty.
that. Like, bruh. What the... I mean, there's nothing going on in the photo per se, but
There's no
why is
conspiracy.
her face redacted?
You are allowed to...
See, this is how you catch somebody in the files. You have evidence like this. You have somebody like this who did all the stuff they hope Trump did. They were really hoping they could get information like this on Trump, but they never could. And that's why these people never cared. They didn't care that President Clinton was in these files in a way that President Trump was not. They didn't care that Prince Andrew was in these files in a way that President Trump was not. They didn't even care that the new mayor of New York, Zoran Mamdani's relatives, his mother, were even mentioned in these files in a way that President Trump wasn't. You see, none of this mattered at all until Trump was in charge, and they thought that by having the Department of Justice go through this exercise and releasing very sensitive information while having to cover up large amounts of things, that they could create a scenario that casts doubt on whether or not this is a transparent thing, that casts doubt and conjecture on whether or not someone is hiding something. That's why this lives and is never going to go away. I've spent a lot of time walking the streets of New York City, showing apartments, talking about crime, and letting people is really like on the ground here right now. And one thing has become impossible to ignore. Everything is more expensive. Everything feels more fragile, and the people in the middle are squeezed from every direction. Rents are up, groceries are up, and the same institutions that created this mess are out there buying homes and telling regular people just to adjust. Living in a city like New York teaches you pretty quickly that systems don't always work the way they're supposed to, and that's why I believe in owning something real, like physical gold and silver from American Hartford Gold, not because it's flashy, but because it's tangible. Gold isn't tied to a landlord, a bank's balance sheet, or the next policy experiment. American Hartford Gold has an A+ rating with Better Business Bureau and thousands of 5-star reviews. You can have gold or silver shipped straight to your door, or stored securely in a tax-advantaged gold IRA if you're thinking long term. On top of that, right now, if you call and mention my name, you could get $20,000 in free silver with your first purchase. Call 866-679-4550 or text cash to 65532. That's 866-679-4550 or text cash to 65532. Or you can just click the link in the description of this video. When you live in the real world instead of a spreadsheet, you learn fast. Betting everything on systems you don't control is incredibly risky. Well, owning something real just makes sense.
That's why I find it absolutely despicable that you sought to protect Epstein's clients, like former Prince Andrew. Last July, you closed the case on Epstein's abusers.
See?
I do not like ads so much, but out of respect for Cash, like I really like how Asman does that. Like I'm a minor leagues, not even in the league streamer, and so I have certain ones that I look up to. But yeah, I really appreciate how Asman supports the guys. Like normally I would skip ads, but I have to, because if I'm going to watch his video and review his content, he deserves it.
The July 2025 memo from your Department of Justice
Here it
stated,
comes.
quote, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties." These two photos, please put the
There it
photos
is.
back up. These two photos staring you in the face are evidence of a crime and more than enough evidence to predicate an investigation against former Prince Andrew. So I ask you, Attorney General Pam Bondi, why did you shut down this investigation last July, and why have you not prosecuted former Prince Andrew?
Prince
I
Andrew's
don't
been
believe you asked
investigated.
Merrick Garland
He's
these
finished.
questions when he was Attorney General and sat before
I agree with you.
You
I'm
twice.
reclaiming my
Did you?
time.
Oh.
I agree with you. I agree with you. During the
You not
Biden-
hear
They
me?
all reclaim their time. The second anyone mentions Merrick Garland, people want to immediately reclaim their time. And that's what's so interesting about this. You got these career politicians that could have done something, and nobody cared until Trump was connected to it. Even if Trump's not in the files, getting his Justice Department to have these conversations over and over again, it is brand damaging to people who might be on the fence and to people who might look at this guy and say, yeah, he's a nice...
I don't know about this guy. I just know that Cash is really pro-Trump. I am very not pro-Trump. I don't like Trump. I don't like any president. I've never voted except for once, and Biden became president, and that was, everybody knows about that. That was horrible. So I'm definitely very uninterested in anything having to do with politics, really. Like, I don't even think people know what they're doing when they vote, when they elect somebody. I mean, don't even think they know what the word really means. Don't even think that, well, I think a lot of things that I shouldn't say as well.
This guy, he just wants to get to the truth, and now that these files are released, now there's all this evidence, and it looks like something's being hidden, and I'm just not too sure. I mean, you can't blame people for thinking that way, but the problem is the folks...
Anyways, let's move on from this. Give him a like and a follow. Cash Jordan. Cool dude. Let's see. Let's actually stop recording. And let's remove this for a second. You know what? Let's stop streaming on Twitch. Bye, guys. Nice to see you. Let's see here. Oh, God. Let me see what I can find. I have so much information, and I would like to read some. Let's see here, guys. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. I'm just looking for my thing. That's 1933. That's 67. Hmm. I mean, can I pull a game up? My computer's going really effing slow. Actually, have someone watching. Well, oh, nice. I did it. I'm learning as we go, guys. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, well. Oh, yeah. I think I saved this for you guys. Cancel that. Yeah, I saved this for you guys. Or is this what I think?
No one is illegal. I'm
No, this is not what I thought it was. Where is it? Oh yeah, this is a good.
We start to see why they are so.
This is a great connection. This guy, I do not agree with a lot of what he says, but bruh, great connection. I am not subscribing to him because I don't like his content that much.
What does the future hold for humanity? The question weighs heavy on many of our minds. In a moment of political turmoil, cultural nihilism, and increasingly isolating work, many of us are grasping for explanations, something, anything, to make sense of our world, to convince us that everything is going to be okay. For most of human history, this vacuum has been filled with religious stories, stories of eternal salvation or damnation, stories about annihilation of the ego and nirvana and samsara, stories that taught us what was right, what was wrong, stories that tapped into the great cosmic mystery of life. But as the Enlightenment era brought a greater understanding of science and a focus on reason and facts, religious stories became harder to justify. This led Nietzsche to famously proclaim, "God is dead, God remains dead, and we have killed him." Nietzsche was not celebrating our secularization, but rather mourning for the crisis of meaning and purpose that resulted from a declining belief in grand cosmic stories and rituals. Quote, "What festivals of atonement, what sacred games shall we have to invent? Must we ourselves not become gods simply to appear worthy of it?" Digital technology, in a way, has always been a quasi-religious story. Founders like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates were looked upon as messiahs for the information revolution, worshipped as magical inventions that would connect humanity and allow us to communicate across difference. This era of Silicon Valley convinced us that the future was not something to fear, but something wondrous and imaginative, something the wackiest sci-fi stories of the 20th century never predicted. But the next generation of founders and the technologies they've ushered in have not lived up to the hype. Social media and wearable technology have become new forms of surveillance. The metaverse was a spectacular failure. Artificial intelligence is used to enable genocidal robots. Cryptocurrency enables frictionless corruption. LLMs are trained without permission on countless hours of human thought, art, labor, and writing, in the process poisoning the environment and oppressing the disempowered. The cracks in what venture capitalist Mark Andreessen lovingly called,
Bro, oh my gosh. You should be in that movie, that old movie, The Eggheads. Like, what the heck is going on here? All right, I'm done. But look at that. That's crazy. You thought Asmongold was this is a great bald. This is the great bald. This has got to be the great bald.
The techno-capital machine have widened into chasms, and it's become increasingly clear that there is a limit to growth on our finite planet. The machine cannot, much to the chagrin of Andreessen, spiral continuously upwards. Or can it? There's a new religion forming in Silicon Valley. Some call it the mindset, some call it AGI, some, like computer scientist Timnit Gebru and philosopher Emil P. Torres, call it Tescriol. The key teaching of this religion is that heaven can be attained here, in this life, through merging with artificial intelligence, and that the ends of this vast and glorious future among the stars.
And Elon Musk wants to put a chip in your brain. That's what he's referencing, because Elon Musk is a creeper among creepers. What you gonna do about it?
Stars is worth sacrificing just about anything to achieve. The backbone of Tescriol is transhumanism, which is based not in spiritual transcendence, but scientific transcendence. It allows us to become secular gods by becoming superior AI-human hybrids, achieving immortality, conquering the heavens, and, to quote Anthony Lewandowski's real-life AI church, Way of the Future, developing and promoting the realization of a godhead based on artificial intelligence. Now, don't worry too much about each letter of the acronym, we will get to them in due time. But to give you a taste and to let you see how they're all connected, here's a quick, oversimplified definition of each one. Transhumanism, which encompasses the subsequent 3 letters of the acronym, is about transcending biological limitations and merging with AI to become a superior being. Extropianism saw the first organized group of transhumanists who were super into immortality, among other things. Singularitarianism wants to bring about the technological singularity, where AI begins to
Hold on. I was doing something else. Singularitarianism. That's a word to say. That's almost as good as anti-disestablishmentarianism. Like,
technological singularity, where AI begins to recursively self-improve and makes progress unthinkably fast. Cosmism believes humanity's destiny is taking to the stars and radically transforming the universe itself. Rationalism is an internet AI cult that supposedly believes in using reason and rational conclusions, but really is more about pseudo-intellectual reductionism and a worship of advanced technologies. Effective altruism is a moral framework based around rationalist thinking and is absolutely obsessed with using math to determine the best way to live. And finally, long-termism is a variety of effective altruism focused on the far future and existential risk. Tescrialism is based on blind faith in technology, and despite being obsessed with the cosmos, it thinks that we can bend it to our will. It's an ideology of complete domination, subjugation, and accumulation, devoid of any deep thought about the less quantifiable aspects of existence. It is an impoverished religion where AI is God, the mythical founder is Christ, those who plow through barriers are the disciples, data is the Holy Spirit, and eternal growth is the gospel. And just as traditional religions have been used to justify atrocities, its logic can be taken to some disturbing extremes. Ben Goetzel makes the religious parallels explicit in his 2010 Cosmist Manifesto. He writes, quote, "Space-time engineering and future magic will permit achieving, by scientific means, most of the promises of religions, and many amazing things no human religion ever dreamed. Eventually, we will be able to resurrect the dead by copying them to the future." In keeping with the religious theme, I've separated this video into 4 books: transhumanism, rationalism, effective altruism, and long-termism. Each of these teachings provides something slightly different, and not everybody who subscribes to one subscribes to them all. But in combining them, true believers have the perfect self-serving ideology of ethics, morality, and spirituality for our increasingly secular and atomized world. We'll be using the TESCREAL bundle as the structure for this discussion. Emil Torres, who co-wrote the paper coining this term, has written prolifically about it, and I had the pleasure of interviewing them for this piece. I live streamed this interview several weeks ago, and a little embarrassing, but since I had not done a live stream interview before, I forgot to hit record on the interview software, so all I have is the recording of the live stream, so apologies in advance for the poor video quality. I have found this framing incredibly helpful in understanding the superficial belief system undergirding the entire AI race, and seeing things through this lens also helps us anticipate what might come next, and how to fight back and build a future based around democratically determined human values, not what some homogenous group of tech billionaires and Oxford philosophers tell us our values are. So without further ado, strap in, grab a beverage. Got my coffee here, which has already gone cold because it's freezing outside. I don't know why I'm out here. And join me on this wild ride through the dreams and nightmares of the worst people you know. I'm a firm believer in the doctrine of knowing one's enemy. I'm also a firm believer that there's no such thing as unbiased media or news, and I never try to hide my own biases behind of objectivity. Unfortunately, mainstream media often obfuscates its own stakeholders and the biases they bring behind this false veneer, which makes it difficult to find reliable information. Today's sponsor, Ground News, is an app and website that allows me to cut through all this noise and gain a clear understanding of the news as it happens. It aggregates news from all over the world in one place and breaks down a story by how it's covered based on the outlet's political leanings, who's funding the narrative, and where in the world its perspective comes from. Take this story about the Don Rowe Doctrine. Over 200 outlets covered this story, so if I scroll down and compare how it's being covered, I can see that the right-leaning sources take an almost jubilant tone about Trump's mask-off imperialism and the potential for economic gains. But they also call out a criticism missing from the left, that Biden himself increased the bounty on Nicolas Maduro's head. Now, I'm not typically one to agree with John Fetterman, but he is right that while different in style, the decades of intervention
Y'all
in
know
foreign
it's
policy...
Ground News, but I speed past the ads. I hate ads. What can I say? Judge me.
Anti-imperialist, Ground News has been an essential tool in helping me understand how narratives are shaped and who I can rely on for trustworthy information. I partnered with them to offer 40% off the same Vantage plan that I use to my viewers. So check out Ground News today by using my QR code or going to ground.news/SWT. In 1957, a man by the name of Julian Huxley published a collection of essays in which he introduced the world to a concept that sounds fantastical. That, quote, the human species can transcend itself, not just sporadically, but in its entirety, as humanity. He calls this new belief transhumanism, man remaining man, but transcending himself, by realizing new possibilities of and for his human nature. Huxley says that the human species has nearly exhausted the limits of scientific and geographical exploration of the world and of nature. Not exactly true, but we'll come back to that. And that the next great frontier is to explore and radically alter human nature itself, to find out what possibilities and limitations our species faces. The process of evolution, according to Huxley, has passed the baton on to humans to continue its work by our own volition. This admittedly vague definition of transhumanism would morph into various subgroups and be incorporated into a variety of political philosophies, but that central idea of transcending humanity, whether through genetic engineering or advanced technologies, would remain at its core. One of the more interesting depictions of transhumanism is Ian M. Banks' sci-fi series The Culture. In these novels, Banks depicts a vast and utopian anarchist civilization of 7 or 8 humanoid species living across the entire Milky Way galaxy. These humanoid aliens, alongside hyper-intelligent and conscious AIs called minds, control much of the culture's operations, meaning that the purpose of life becomes, quote, less physical, more metaphysical, and the aims of civilization moral rather than material. Scarcity is unknown, as is exploitation. Quote, it is essentially an automated civilization in its manufacturing processes, with human labor restricted to something indistinguishable from play or a hobby. The people of the culture can best be described as some odd mix of technologically enhanced, genetically modified humans mixed with more classical humans. The enhanced humans leverage things like brain-computer interfaces, nanotechnology, and biological conversions, but even the most classical humans carry inherited genetic enhancements. Because genetics are hereditary, almost everyone in the culture is born with optimized immune systems, enhanced senses, freedom from inheritable diseases or defects, and the ability to control autonomic processes. At first glance, this might sound exactly like the future the likes of Elon Musk and Sam Altman want to create. Musk's Neuralink produces brain interfaces autonomy to those with unmet medical needs and unlock new dimensions of human potential. SpaceX is about, quote, believing in the future and that the future will be better than the past. Sam Altman's OpenAI aims to build artificial general intelligence that, quote, these mission statements and the philosophies they represent apply the same sort of radical egalitarianism and revolutionary optimism as Banks' novels. The vision of work as a form of play is echoed by AI boosters spout claims about universal basic income once AI starts doing all our job. An inch below the surface, we see that beyond aesthetics, these utopian visions have almost nothing in common. The culture is built around a politics of anarchism, which centers freedom through the abolition of institutions of coercion, hierarchy, and capitalism. In Banks's view, a civilization based around the synthetic evil of the market has no chance of surviving the vacuum of space. Only those that cooperate can thrive. People of the culture customarily change genders and sex organs, something that Banks says naturally leads to greater sexual equality. If one gender is oppressive towards another, he says, there will be a natural self-correction towards equality. These egalitarian principles are nowhere to be found in the libertarian transhumanism that has...
Dude, they're nowhere to be found, like, anywhere. Like, what do you mean? They're just nowhere to be found. Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Don't make it weird.
Taken root in Silicon Valley. But I think it's a mischaracterization to imply that libertarians perverted an otherwise pure vision of an inherently egalitarian future, what many left-of-center transhumanists claim. Remember Julian Huxley, who popularized the word transhumanism in 1957? Well, he was also a hardcore eugenicist, serving as president of the British Eugenics Society from 1959.
Probably Aldous Huxley's brother, I would assume.
1962. Eugenics has seen a number of phases and variants, but primarily refers to a set of practices and beliefs
Could be his cousin. Uncle.
At improving the genetic quality of human populations. I find it striking and unfortunately all too relevant for our discussion that the first person to coin the term transhumanism also preached eugenics in order to reach the transcendence of humanity. The deliberate practice of eugenics, Huxley says, would not be natural selection, but artificial selection, involving a conscious aim and a deliberate control of the mechanisms of heredity. It could therefore operate much more rapidly and much less wastefully than natural selection. For most of the 20th century, eugenics was about improving the genetics of the human race through coercive, usually racist, sexist, or ableist practices. The Nazis, of course, forcibly sterilized and mass murdered those deemed to have undesirable genes, such as the poor, mentally ill, disabled, homosexual, transsexual, or Jewish. Even before then, California forcibly sterilized at least 20,000 patients in asylums and hospitals between 1909 and 1979. These were methods of negative eugenics, but there were also positive eugenics, which encouraged those with desirable genes to reproduce more. Eugenicists have the idea that evolution is a process of improvement rather than simply changing to fit one's environment through adaptation, specialization, and diversification. Eugenics aims to create more evolved humans through artificial selection. It aims to speed up the improvement process of the genetic pool. But who determines what constitutes a more evolved human, and what traits are deemed desirable? Historically, eugenicists have defined the ideal human by things like racial purity, intelligence, and physical fitness. But transhumanism takes this a step further. Transhumanists don't just want to improve the human race, they want to transcend it altogether and create something radically superior. In fact, this is why my guest in this video, philosopher and reformed transhumanist Emil P. Torres, describes transhumanism as eugenics on steroids. As transhumanism evolved into the ideology we see today, it began to incorporate into its vision of radical human enhancement new technologies like cryonic freezing, mind uploading, nanotechnology, brain implants, and, of course, artificial intelligence. But that idea that we can and should speed up the pace of human improvement, that comes directly from eugenics. Where transhumanism really starts to get gross, though, is when you hear about the end game suggested by people like Peter Thiel, Nick Bostrom, and Eliezer Yudkowsky. And just another disclaimer, not every transhumanist sees things the exact same way. Thiel, for instance, wants to maintain a biological body, while Bostrom and Yudkowsky would rather be a mind upload and exist as a happy beam of light, getting along and having fun with the other beams of lights. Others still reject these ideas altogether, but by and large, these are what have become most popular and influential. You've probably seen this viral clip from Peter Thiel's interview with Ross Douthat of the New York Times.
You would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitant. Yeah, well, yes. I don't know. I would. It's a long hesitation. There's so many questions. Should the human race survive? Yes.
Objectively, a hilarious and deeply disturbing moment. But what most people haven't seen, and what I think is more interesting.
But I also would. I also would like us to I don't know. Yeah, transhumanism is this. The ideal is this radical transformation where your human natural body gets transformed into an immortal body. And there's a critique of, let's say, the trans people in a sexual context, or transvestite is someone who changes their clothes and cross-dresses. And a transsexual is someone where you change your penis into a vagina. And we can then debate how well those surgeries work. But we want more transformation than that. The critique is not that it's weird and unnatural. It's so pathetically little. And we want more than cross-dressing or changing your sex organs. We want you to be able to change your heart and change your mind and change your whole body.
It's no accident that Thiel transitions directly from saying he doesn't know if the human race should exist into talking about transcending humanity altogether through biological transformation. This is what many of the most influential transhumanists see as the end goal of the movement, the replacement of humanity with a radically enhanced post-human. One of the founders of modern transhumanism, philosopher Nick Bostrom, discussed the idea of the post-human in a 2008 essay titled Why I Want to Be a Post-Human When I Grow Up, in which he argues that it could be very worthwhile and very good to become post-human. These radically enhanced humans would be able to explore vastly more expansive modes of being, like 200 of every book in the Library of Congress, immortality, perfect self-control over mood and energy, perception of radio waves, telepathy, and, of course, mind uploading and merging with artificial intelligence. As post-humans, we would be able to be an upload and transmit ourselves as information at the speed of light, living either in virtual reality or directly in physical reality by controlling a robot proxy. To many of us, an immortal life lived in a digital simulation sounds like the very definition of torture. But for many test realists, this is the utopian vision they are working so relentlessly to bring about that they would sacrifice anything, even humanity, to achieve. Take it from Eliezer Yudkowsky, transhumanist and co-founder of the rationalist movement, aka the R in test real, who said this on fellow transhumanist Dan Fagella's podcast.
If sacrificing all of humanity were the only way and a reliable way to get, beings, like godlike beings out there, super intelligences who still care about each other and who are still aware of the world and are still having fun, I will ultimately make that trade-off.
This might seem like an utterly batshit thing to say, that humanity is worth sacrificing to bring about a world of beams of light that are getting along and having fun. And that's because, well, it is. It's also where we begin to see the poisoning influence of utilitarian thinking on the movement. Utilitarianism is an ethical theory that boils down to maximizing well-being, utility, or value, and minimizing suffering. It's a supposedly impartial take on ethics that tries to quantify and measure everything and come to a rational conclusion about the best way forward. In Yudkowsky's eyes, sacrificing humanity for post-humans is obviously the right thing to do, because there are incalculably more post-humans that could exist in the future, so the mathematical value of their collective well-being far exceeds our own. People like Nick Bostrom have quantified this number as at least 10 to the 58 potential post-humans. That's 10 with 58 zeros. An astronomical number that dwarfs the number of humans that have ever existed. We'll get into this more when we talk about long-termism, but I wanted to
I need to pause it. My computer is like freezing up. I'm closing programs.
plant in your mind early, an example of how this mathematical approach to ethics can lead to some very dark and strange places. The first group of organized transhumanists emerged in the extropian movement of the 1980s, founded by philosopher Max Moore. This is where extropianism comes from, the E in testrail. Keith describes it as, quote, a form of pro-science super-optimism that seeks to fight entropy, the universal law that says all things fall apart, everything tends towards chaos and death, on all fronts. One of the most lasting features of extropianism is the pursuit of immortality through technological means. Extropians lambasted the deathism and biological fundamentalism rampant through mainstream discourse on technology, and believed that conquering death was not only achievable, but desirable. Extropians believed that immortality could be achieved through future advances in biomedical technology, which would effectively bring back to life people whose bodies, brains, or even penises had been preserved through cryonic freezing.
Can't believe I forgot to say what that reference was. Jeffrey Epstein, you know the one. He was a transhumanist, and he wanted to seed the human race with his DNA, and he also signed up to have his body and penis frozen upon his death. I don't know if that ever happened. Anyways, do with that information what you will.
Although the movement no longer exists formally, it provided space for radical ideas to flourish.
He thinks
Ideas
that's
that,
way
according to
too
their now
funny.
defunct but undeniably rad website, quote,
I
will satisfy,
think-
startle, and
I
stimulate
think he
you.
might
Ideas that
be.
continue to flourish under the likes of Peter Thiel, Sam Altman, Brian Johnson, and several others. The extropian movement attracted a wide range of Silicon Valley types, including the aforementioned Robin Hanson, Turing Award-winning computer scientist
That's
Marvin
the
Minsky,
legend. I have
Ray
no
Kurzweil, who
idea
popularized
about
the singularity, Nick Bostrom, future WikiLeaks founder Julian
trying to
Assange, and
get
three
my
people who are rumored to be the
computer
creator of
to
Bitcoin.
stop
But one of the preeminent
working.
voices to emerge from the movement was Eliezer Yudkowsky. At that time, a plucky teenager who made waves with his bold prediction that superintelligence would be a great improvement over humans and could be here by 2020. Two entrepreneurs in the extropian community were so enthralled by Yudkowsky that they bankrolled a think tank for him, the Singularity Institute for Artificial Intelligence, which would later be renamed as the Machine Intelligence Research Institute, or MIRI. As the name suggests, Yudkowsky's work at the Singularity Institute was concerned with the technological singularity, which loosely refers to the theoretical moment when technological progress reaches a tipping point and becomes unstoppable and irreversible. Emil described this interpretation of the singularity to me as such.
The rate of progress will happen so rapidly that our puny human minds
All
will not be
right,
able to
I'm gonna have
comprehend, just in
to
principle. Right, so you can imagine
turn my
like centuries
computer
worth
off
of technological development. Imagine
because
the
it's
last 600
frozen.
1925.
I don't even think the
Very, very
stream
little.
is
Imagine
really
that amount
going.
of change happening every minute.